What up, y'all?
Welcome.
What up? What up, Kendra?
What up?
What up, my
I feel
house?
like we just did this.
Yeah, we really did. But we're back again. What's up, guys? Welcome
Back
to
again.
episode 2 of the Purpose Project podcast and video series. This is the podcast. You probably watched the video. My name is Kevin, and I'm here today with Kendra.
Hi.
We're gonna talk about just some stuff, her video, and just life in general. You know what I mean? So, before we get started, if there's anything you would like to say to introduce yourself, you might do that.
Well, you probably learned a little bit about me in the first one if you watched it. But on the off chance this is your first time, hi, my name is Kendra Weaver. I'm 25. I'm a dancer, and I've known him for like
4 years?
really?
Is it?
It's 2019.
3 years?
I think 3.
3. We'll say 3.
We'll go with 3. That sounds like a good number. Yeah, I've known him for like 3 years, and we've worked together on a lot of things, but this is like our first really long-term commitment, and it's super exciting. And
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
hyped. I'm hyped. I'm a little scared, but still. I'm a little scared still, but I'm excited.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't know, if I stumble over my words, I apologize. I'm usually the one interviewing, so this is like putting me in the hot seat. So
Take a shot.
we'll see how good his questions are. You know, not like the pressure's on or anything.
No, they're gonna be good, maybe. Okay, so let's just start. Actually, I kind of want to use that as a segue. So you said you're more comfortable like interviewing people rather than being interviewed.
Just because that's where my profession is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Could you talk a little bit about how you sort of wanted to get into radio and like what drew you in that direction before finding dance?
Yes. Well, I mean, I found dance before I found radio, but yeah, I know what you're asking. So, I feel like I make all my stories really long, but I applied to 4 different colleges, 4 or 5 in Florida, and I chose UCF because it felt like the right decision.
Go Knights.
Yeah, and when I got there, I was like looking through like the majors, and I was like, dance isn't a major.
Yeah.
What have I gotten myself into? But I was like looking, and I was like, hey, well, like, what else do I feel drawn to? And you know, music is a huge part of dance, and so I was interested in the production side of it. There's a lot of different tracks with radio, as far as like you can do promotions and sales and on-air DJ personality, but the behind the scenes was what I felt like I could gain the most out of, and like what was most exciting to me at the time. So I studied that, but UCF had more television classes than radio, so like I was like, I'm not getting what I need. So that's when I went to England and, you know, go to the first podcast for that. But I think it was just music and
Like the creation, like behind the scenes stuff you said you enjoy a lot, right?
yes. I liked putting something together that took a lot of time.
Got you.
As like monotonous as that sounds.
It's fulfilling though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is and was. Past
Yeah.
tense. But then when I started working at a station and I got more into production, they started giving me more responsibility, and they wanted me like on air, and then they had me do a lot of artist interviews, which was not live, it was like pre-recorded.
Right.
But that's where I really felt like I was honing into like what made me me, and I really enjoyed just talking to people. As much anxiety as it gave me in the moment sometimes,
Yeah.
the comfort of like, okay, this isn't live, so you can go back and edit it.
Right, that's true.
I really enjoyed just the conversations I had, and it's really funny to me because growing up, I hated talking on the phone. I just hated like being social in general. So to like now love talking, it's pretty ironic.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That's really cool though. So like basically throughout or like through your, I guess, would you call your radio career, or like I guess that's what you would call it.
You know, my career.
Yeah.
I'm
Throughout
in my
your
prime now.
throughout your radio career, was there a certain type of like artist or person that you enjoyed talking to the most, or was it always like music people, or? Were there
Was
people
it
who
always
played
music people?
or like people who played like instruments, or like people who sang, or directing stuff? I don't know. Just things
Right.
like that.
I had the opportunity to talk to musicians, singers, but also composers.
Oh, okay.
And that was really cool because they, while they also are musicians, they have more, I guess, more.
Like director duties in terms of like putting things together.
Yeah, and just like talking to them, like there's this one guy, I want to shout him out real quick. His name is Eric Jacobson.
Let's go, Eric.
I spoke to him 3 different times when I worked at this station, and he works with the Orlando Philharmonic Orchestra.
Oh dang.
And he travels around the world.
Eric's
and
legit.
yeah, he's awesome to talk to. But it was cool to talk to a composer because they have more of a hold on what they're working with, I guess. But another person that I really enjoyed talking to, and I think really made me realize, hey, like, I could do this outside of like just what I was doing for my station, was this lady named Judy Carmichael. She is a pianist and singer, vocalist. And prior to her interview, my interviews lasted probably 10 to 15 minutes. Like, I couldn't come up with anything else, and the people didn't really give me much back.
Right.
So there's only so much you can do. With her interview, we talked for a straight hour, and I think it was partly because she loved to talk, and she hosted her own show titled Jazz Inspired. So she interviews people all the time.
Okay.
So she's already comfortable with that, but I just felt so comfortable talking to her that like it felt less like an interview and more like a friend. And so after that interview, it got me really excited to be like, okay, this is legit.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you can just like sort of, well, that you can actually like learn more about yourself just by talking to someone for like a long time. And I feel like that is kind of what that was for you. So that's super dope to see. Alright, so I messed up my first question because you've obviously been dancing before you did radio, but
Strike one.
yeah, that's strike one,
Tally.
but we'll go back. So basically, I think it's interesting too because like you've been around dance for pretty much most of your life, and I didn't really see dance or anything along those lines outside of like cultural dances until I came to college. So I was wondering if there's a certain, I guess, point in time where you felt like dance evolved in your life rather than just being something that like your parents took you to, or like something that you just kind of like had to do, and you were sort of like, hey, I think that this is something that I want to pursue a lot more seriously.
Great question. Okay.
Thanks.
We're gonna remove your string.
Yes, I got it back.
So I've been dancing since I was 4.
Okay, it's a long time.
It's a really long time. And I started, my mom put me in ballet, like, you know, normally.
Right.
Normal
So
people
that's
do.
studio stuff. All that.
Started in a studio. And I just took ballet my first year.
Cool.
I hated it.
I feel like no 4-year-olds like ballet though.
I guess,
Yeah.
but then I guess as you get older, it's like there's one of 2 things. Either you love it or like you want to run away
okay.
from it, screaming and crying. That was
Got
me.
you.
I was always the kid like at the bar that would, you know, it wasn't in my personality to like act out, but in ballet, I was like, I am so bored. This is so boring. Like seeing it now, like I understand the discipline and I understand the beauty of it and how it, you know, helps me just in other styles.
Right.
But living through it, like I was like, oh my god, ballet, like I have to do this again.
Yeah.
And I think a big part of why I hated it, I love that I made this connection, is at the studio we would get a new teacher like every year. So it felt like I always had to start over.
Right.
And it just felt so like getting a new, you know, it's
Right.
kind of like how kids
No
with
continuity.
like foster kids, like they're constantly going to different homes and it never feels like,
Even changing
Okay.
schools and stuff.
And
too,
changing
like that,
schools.
yeah.
I was constantly changing like teachers, so I constantly had to figure out their teaching style,
Right.
and we always were, you know, it just didn't feel great.
Mhm.
So I started with ballet, and then I went into jazz, and then I went into tap. So I was like 6 or 7 when I started tap. Tap was the first style I really loved. So I grew up in the studio. I'm gonna make this kind of short.
Take time. We got all the time in
We
the
got all
world.
the time in the world. And it was, I started competing in, God, what year was I at? Oof.
Solos or group stuff?
I started with groups.
Okay.
I eventually did a duet. I never did a solo competition-wise.
Okay.
I did a talent show solo, but you know, it's not really the same thing. And well, we're just gonna bypass the whole year that I started competing. But I was young. I was probably in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
And then in high school, I started attending conventions. Do you know what conventions are?
Yeah, I've been to a few.
Okay. Yeah, so I started getting into that, which like introduced me more to like the commercial side of like, oh, like there's so much more out there than
Right.
just taking class.
Taking a class, yeah. The industry.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like you learn from industry professionals, and you're taking like 6-7 classes a day, and your body like can't move by the end of the weekend, but it's worth it. So I took that, and I was like, oh, like this is so cool. And I made a switch in high school of studios because I just felt like I wasn't gaining anything anymore.
Right.
So I went to another studio.
Can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
Is that more of a personal choice, or was that something that your parents were like, yo, I think you should try and do this?
It was definitely personal.
That's awesome.
They kind of let me lead, which
Word.
I appreciate.
That's awesome. So outside of like the initial, when you're 4 years old, I'll take you to ballet, there was never really like a super strong push. They kind of just let you figure out.
Yeah.
That's so good.
It was never like, oh, you've been dancing, so like you got to go back this next year.
Right,
It was
yeah,
always
yeah.
like I kept wanting to do more. I kept adding more classes to my schedule. Like when I was in middle school, it was insane. One of my days consisted of, you know, school from 9 to 4, and then we would go stop at McDonald's, how embarrassing, to grab something, and then I'd go to modern class at 5 p.m. and then I would have a gap in between my next class, so my mom would take me to dinner and I would do my homework at dinner, and then I would go back and take like a hip hop class and then get home at like 9 or 10 p.m. and I was like,
Bang. That's
Like,
a full day. That's a full day.
If my mom didn't support that, like
Yeah.
it would be a lot of big words.
I don't
It
know.
would be a different story.
Word, definitely, yeah.
So they definitely let me, you know, they saw how much I loved it, and
That's cool, because I feel like a lot of people and, I don't know, just families in general, like they'll take their kids to dance, and that's cool, but I feel like once the parents see their kids are not about it and like rejecting it, like obviously you want them to stick with it and try it for a while, but I think there's just so many, like it just comes from just teaching at like studios too, like there's so many kids who just don't want to be there and their parents just keep on bringing them back, and I don't understand it, and I feel like if, this is just a random rant now, but I feel like
Rant
people just
time.
need to listen to their kids some more, like like if I'm teaching your daughter the difference between the right and left foot for like 3 months, like she clearly does not want to be in this dance class, and like maybe that's something on me as a teacher that I need to work on, but I don't know, it's just something
maybe
that I
they
feel
need to
like is-
assess
yeah, I think
what's going on.
right, it's just a little bit more, but
Yeah.
random side tangent. Sorry.
Cool. So to go back to the original question of like you asked when was the
Like a kind of a turning point, I guess.
pivotal moment of like I want to take this seriously, or
Right.
I would say high school
Mm.
when I started going to conventions. I like stopped going to a studio in high school actually. After I had switched for a year, I was like, I just want to focus more on like getting better and taking class and traveling.
That's cool.
So I did that, and then when I went to college, you know, you heard that whole story. But I think it was when I was like 18. That's another thing. I had my first gig when I was 18. Not paid, but a huge thing to put on my resume.
Word.
And that was also a turning point. I danced on TV to promote Step Up 4 with Twitch.
I didn't know that. What?
Yeah.
Yo, that's lit.
I got that opportunity through a studio in Clearwater. Shout out to the Studio Dance Company. And just being on set for that all day was like, this speaks my language. Like I just loved the whole hurry up and wait situation and just performing and being around other dancers. And I was like, pinch me, like this is crazy. I don't care if I'm not getting paid. So that's also another moment. So everything I feel like happened around when I was 18, and I was like, yep, this is it. And here we are, 7 years later, I'm still doing it.
Yeah, that's dope that you were able to like identify those moments that made a change in your life, because I feel like that's really big too in terms of like personal growth, because we all go through a lot of different things, but the way that we react to them is very different. And I think being able to understand what things are like you hold valuable to yourself is a huge step in terms of just growing and just like living and stuff like that. So that's dope. Yeah. Okay, cool. So that's kind of some more background stuff that I wanted to cover. I want to talk about the piece a little bit. So you've been working on this, or like you've had this piece and like vision in mind for a little while. I remember learning it. Oh, I don't remember how long ago it was, but I do remember learning it.
It was the beginning of February I taught it.
Beginning of February, got you. So like for this piece in terms of the way that you wanted to go about like putting it on like other people and stuff, I guess, is there a certain vision that you had when you first started it, and how did it end up like evolving, I guess, as you went along?
Okay, good questions.
Long questions.
Long, thoughtful questions. I'm like...
It's like a run-on sentences.
Oh, okay. Well...
You can take like piece by piece.
Yeah, gotta take this a step at a time. I might need to come back for reference to that question. What I love about... Okay. Things that I'm really proud of happen over time as far as choreography goes. Do you remember my Heart Cry piece?
Is that the one that you did at World of Dance with Ruckus?
No, it was...
Is that the concert
dance
piece?
concert
Okay.
with the lights.
Yep.
Okay. That piece was like reinvented so many times over like a couple years, honestly. Like I started it for like a class for my minor, and then I kept building on it, and then I did it for so many different things. So I feel like when I choreograph, I like to go back to it, and I like to, make changes, and I like to work on it with different groups, and then when it finally manifests, I'm like, yeah, this is dope.
Yeah.
I don't like to rush. But it was different with this piece a little bit because my friend Merrick Rowe, shout out Vitality, he was like, I really want you to teach. And I usually never accept a teaching spot unless I already have choreography done. But with this one, I was like, you know what? Stop like being fearful of teaching and just say yes and then work on it. So I came up with this piece about 3 or 4 days before I taught. And what happened is I went into the room and I had 2 different songs in mind. I put both of them on. Dancing with a Stranger was my second song I put on. So the first one I put on and I was like, oh yeah, this is hype, yo. Like, I don't usually do stuff like this, but challenge yourself. And then I put on this song and it felt so like good. I made the decision to go with the feel-good route rather than focusing on the beginning stages of coping with loneliness, because there's a switch that eventually happens within yourself where you see why things happen the way they did and you're at peace, which is the most important thing. I wanted to capture that in my movement. I could have easily made this a piece that had a more melodramatic feel, but I think I'm in this stage in my life where if I have to beg for your attention or having a spot in your life, then it's not worth it. I want people to know it's okay to miss someone and still think about them, because they will always hold a lesson and space in your heart, but it's very necessary to be there for yourself and try something new, meet a new person, even dance with a stranger. Like, I feel like a lot of the songs I choose are about love and stuff like that, but wow, I said stuff like that like a million times. You're gonna make fun of that. I'm already seeing this happening.
Never do that.
But
heck yeah.
Ooh.
I just wanted one.
In the moment when I was choreographing, I pictured this whole dance as a conversation. So like when you saw me perform, when you saw me do this the first time I taught, like I made a lot of eye contact because it's like a conversation. And I think it's just cool sometimes to move because it feels good, and I really wanted to make the choreography just be like comfortable. And when I choreographed this, I used to choreograph things and I had to video it so that I could make a lot of adjustments, and I had to see how it looked, and I needed a mirror in front of me. But now I don't need a mirror because I've kind of been forced to not always have a space available as a dancer.
Yeah.
So I've learned to just like, you know, kind of trust myself more and move however. And with this piece, I like went out on my dock, which you got to go.
It's dope out there.
It's a great aura and vibe, and you're just kind of alone in the wilderness, sort of. And I went out there and I choreographed it. And with this choreography, I kind of just went with whatever felt, sounds really bad, but I went with whatever felt good. I did make changes after watching it, but I tried not to overthink this one, because with choreography, I tend to stress out.
See that.
And I was just like, you know what, like, just do it. And then when I watched it, there were a couple things I was like, oh, change that, change that, change that. But for the most part, I was like, yeah, it looks good.
Yeah.
And like, when I was choreographing, I didn't realize how good it looked until I taught it, and how like the reception I got from people. And then I was like, oh, okay. Like, don't doubt yourself, Kendra, because like the class was great, and then I went and taught it again at DG Beck, and that like went really good too. So
I think it's cool that you were able to use the piece or like choreography or song or whatever to like feel more comfortable, I guess, or like feel good about like organic movement, because I think that kind of gets lost a lot in terms of not just dancers in general, but anyone who has to create things. Like you always want things to be good enough for like other people, for people to see it, and like you know, maybe it's like because a product of like wanting approval or like wanting to like fit in or just being good or stuff like that. But a lot of the times the best stuff just comes from like when it feels good to you, because then that way other people feel like how genuine that like creative experience is. Yeah,
I tried not to overthink like my style too, because my style is it's a fusion of like contempt vibes, but also like I wouldn't say popping is like my thing, but like I move through things weirdly sometimes, so when I teach I'm like, are they even gonna like this? But like I'm proud of the fact that I stick to my style, however you want to label that. I feel like it's consistent throughout my choreography.
That's cool too, because like, I don't know, just growing up, not envy, because I'm kind of envy. I think it's cool that a lot of studio dancers that have gone on to like doing hip hop and stuff have such a unique style, because I feel like their first like 10 years or however many years that they were doing like contemporary and ballet has such a huge impact on the way that they move now. And I love when people like embrace that in the hip hop community, just because it's so different. And I think it's something that just needs to happen in terms of bringing like sort of the studio side and like the industry side and like the choreography side, and just kind of bringing all those things to like one place. Just having people in multiple of those backgrounds is super dope. Back to the piece though. Did you sort of envision this as like a partner piece from the very beginning?
No.
No, because the song is about not partners, so it's like, well,
the song's about dancing with a stranger.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
So like, no, but when I first came up with it, I did envision it as a partner thing. But then when I taught the first time, and I felt the energy of like dancing next to people, specifically Benj, when we did it together, I was like, this could be something. And so then I was like, you know what? I could just, things, like the wheels started turning and I could picture like how it would look, and I liked visually how it became a conversation forward but also to each other, and how I could play with opposites and stuff like that. So that's how it evolved, and finding my location was a stress and a half.
Jeez.
But it worked out, and I wouldn't have wanted it anywhere else.
It was really nice up there, for sure. That was tough though, but
it was really tough.
I feel like that goes into shooting anything, or I don't know. Like I feel like once you see the video and stuff and like the final product, it's super dope. But like a lot of times, the fact that it just takes you days to even acquire a location is like almost ridiculous.
Or weeks?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or weeks. Like, I feel like acquiring a location should not be as hard as like making your choreography, and it's sad that that stops people sometimes.
Yeah.
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 Didn't stop us though.
It didn't.
No. More specifically you, because.
But again, like you said with scheduling too, just to not only find a spot, but then be like, can everyone do this day? Can they do this day? Will it all work?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's it happened though, which I'm super grateful for. Yeah, what else about this piece can I say?
I don't think I had anything else specific in terms of that was quite a bit loud, but in terms of like choosing like your dancers and stuff and your people, did you already have those specific people in mind, and like what about those dancers drew you towards choosing them?
Great question, I love this. Yeah, that process happened really fast. I feel like a lot of this video just happened like this because I'm just so used to, that sounds bad, I'm so used to coming up with concepts. But I've had like a lot of experience that it's made the process a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't drag this on more than you need to, Kendra, just go with your gut. So,
very important.
yes. With this piece, I was really grateful you came out to class, because have you ever taken my class?
Not sure. I don't think so. No, not outside of like the dance concert stuff that we did. So not really a class. Yeah.
Yeah. And Benj had never taken from me on the spot. He's always known it ahead of time, or assisted, or just done a project. So it was really cool to have you guys both there and kind of see that happen organically. So when I saw you guys dance, I was like, I want them in my piece. Because you guys dance so differently, but both so clean. And I just appreciated like watching you. Like there's a video, and we can add this in here, of me watching like a group, I think it was your group, and I'm in the corner like sitting with this, just like my hand over my face, and I'm just like so happy, like I wanted to cry, like my heart was like, ah! And so that's when I knew with you guys. And then the same night I taught, and then we had squad, so I was like at squad, like sitting off to the side because they were doing something else, and I was like talking to Benj, and I was like thinking of people I could put, because I was like, you know what, I want to make this partner piece, and I want to put 6 people in it. So then I was like thinking about like heights and like who I want where, and I was like, I want Urellis because her and Benj are really good compliments. They both have a very like fluid, like kind of alien way of moving.
Water.
Exactly, like water. So I did that, and then Ari was my other choice. I had no idea prior to this how she would look doing my choreography, but I knew the type of dancer she was, that I was like, I feel like she could easily tackle this.
She's pretty good.
She's pretty good.
She's pretty good.
You've seen her before, and she's very versatile, and she comes from a contemporary background too. So I was like, I like you. You remind me of me, even though you know we've grown up in different environments. And then Ty, he's not on squad, and how did I meet him?
Universal?
No.
UCF?
I think I met him through Sharon.
Oh, okay.
Because I took their class one time. Yes. I took I think it was the first time they collaborated for DGBEC. I took their class and immediately was like, yo, this guy's like a working professional. He's just like, he's so good. And so that's how I met him, and we kept in contact, and I was like, all right, who's like a tall guy I could dance with? Because, it's kind of hard sometimes. And I didn't think twice about it. I asked him, and everybody said yes, and that's how it happened.
That's dope.
Long story short.
Yeah. No, that's dope. I like that there are actual qualities that you seek out in terms of like having people on your like video and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, you already kind of explained this, and I feel like we talked about it briefly in terms of like your style and the way that you see it in terms of it being influenced by studio a lot. Are there certain dancers or people who are not in this area that you look up to a lot that really inspire your movement?
Yes.
Outside of just hip hop too. Sorry to interrupt you.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually, this is an interesting topic because I was thinking about this. When I first moved to Orlando, I felt like I looked up to a lot of people and I would kind of obsessively follow their journeys. And I feel like I've gotten to a point now where it's really cool that like I am my own inspiration. And I don't feel like I need to go watch what other people are doing as much because I'm inspiring myself.
Okay.
But I am the only, no. Like I still have inspiration, but I feel like I took what I needed and I'm forming my own path in a way. But people I look up to, of course, like you had said, Keone Amari. There's this lady named Kat Cogliandro. She's a contemporary, amazing mover. I took her class actually just about a year ago in New York. In the most incredible experience. Who else? Dylan Mayoral.
Ooh, he's really dope. He's crazy.
Insane.
I don't even know what he does sometimes. I can't even process it. Like,
Yeah.
he'll be doing like really like intricate stuff, and then he'll like flip, and then he'll like do some more intricate stuff, and then he'll like slide on the floor. And,
I just love how unique his movement is, and anytime I
very.
watch it, I'm just like, God, I'm so happy.
Yeah.
So those 3 sets of people are top influences, but I'm also really inspired by just people in Orlando.
In terms of like outside of Florida, have you gotten the chance to like dance or explore, or I guess like anywhere else in terms of like travel or anything like that? For dance?
For dance. Last year I went to New York, and that was the first time I actually took class there. I've been to New York numerous times because my mom's from there, and so there's family up there. Yeah, she's from Yonkers. Shout out.
Yonkers. I'm just repping.
Woo!
I'm repping.
But her family lives like a little more upstate, like not in the city.
Okay.
So I've been there multiple times, but I'd never taken class. So last year I was like, I'm gonna go for a few days just over the weekend, and I stayed with Leanna. Do you know Leanna?
I don't believe I do.
Okay, you don't.
I don't.
Met her on Ruckus, one of my best friends.
Oh, Ruckus. I know of her, but I do not know her personally.
She's friends with Sho. And so I met up with Sho, and we took class, and that was really, really cool. The training was awesome, and that's where I also took Kat's class. But besides that, for traveling, like I said, I didn't dance in Europe. I've been to LA, but I haven't danced. That was a really short trip. So for the most part, I've gotten most of my experience in Florida. People that travel to here, I've taken from, but I haven't sought out as much as I would like to as far as traveling.
Got you. Yeah. Because like I only asked that question because I've been able to travel a little bit too, but I haven't really taken class anywhere for whatever reason, one reason or another. But I was able to take class one time when I was in Canada at some point last year, and I think it was just an intermediate class. It wasn't like anything super crazy, but just leaving there, I felt really refreshed just because I felt as if, well, I mean, I'm sure it had to do with just being like a new seed, new dancer, new teachers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But just being able to see stuff that is a little bit different from what you do, I think is really important also, and just being able to differentiate or understand the differences, I guess, between what other people are doing and between like what people around you are doing, because essentially it's the same thing. We're all like dancing and learning choreography, but everyone approaches it with like a little bit different like energy and just like intensity, and I think that is super weird but cool.
Yeah.
In a way.
I forgot I did go to Atlanta, and I took a class / audition, and that was like, it's like really different to Florida, and it's not that far, but like just the community and culture over there was like, okay, we going full out, like
some people get bugged.
We're hitting people, okay. It was packed. And then I mentioned I had taken a class in London, and that was so intense. I felt like...
What type of class was it?
You know Brian Friedman?
Oh, what? It was... Must have been intense then.
Yeah.
Must have been intense.
Our warm-up my goodness. And
He's just an intense guy, I feel like, overall.
yeah, but he deserves everything he's
Yeah.
gotten with his career.
Definitely.
Yeah, I forgot that was the person I took from. I'm like referencing, that London class, but yeah, I took that
Pretty
at
serious.
Studio. I don't remember the name.
Sorry,
Yeah.
no shout outs for you guys.
It's like I don't think it's 5, 6, 7, 8, but it's 68 or something like that. It's a number.
Some numbers.
It's a famous studio in London. But yeah, even like when I was taking class in New York, the level of intensity, how serious they take it, because like everyone's fighting for blood, like everybody wants to be in the front, and I was just like in the back. I'm like, I'm gonna have room back
Yeah.
here, because there's like pillars in the middle of the room, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna, But then when the time came and we like split up, I was like, okay, now I can move, like it's cool. But everyone's just hungry, and everyone's like, it's a different vibe than Florida for sure.
And it's so interesting to me because, like, at the end of the day, we all are just dancing, but people treat dance and have such a different relationship with it.
Different levels.
Yeah, like you said, some people are really just like hungry and like trying to make it as a career, and other people are just very self-expressive with it. And I don't know, there's just so many ranges to dance in general that I feel like it's interesting exploring like what each area, I guess, that you go to has to offer in terms of like their viewpoint on it, because I feel like it helps you learn, or at least it helped me learn a lot about how serious or like how I view dance and its purpose, I guess, or whatever in my life. Next question. So when I first came to you with the idea of this project, I had a few ideas and a couple of visions, but nothing was really set in stone. Was there something that sort of you gravitated toward a little bit more in terms of wanting to actually get across to viewers, or people who are watching, or people who are listening, just in terms of like things that you wanted to manifest into the world? Or
Before we get into that, can you remind me of the exact moment where you told me about this the first time? Like, where were we?
I'm pretty sure I texted you before like squad practice one night, and I was like, hey, I got this like idea,
right.
and
then we met up and talked
and I was
about
like,
it.
I don't know exactly what it is, but I think
This
I
was,
wanted to do like a
last
podcast.
fall, right?
I think it was around September or October.
It sounds like that time.
Yeah, it's been a minute for sure since this
Okay.
idea hatched, but
Right. Wow, to think about that until now. That's crazy.
yeah.
So the question is, what did I want to manifest through these?
Yeah, like
podcasts?
when I first told you about this, was there like an idea in your head that you were like, oh snap, like this is a good idea, I want to do this, or was it just kind of like, I don't really know what this dude's talking about, but I'm just gonna say yes and like help him out? Like, was it one of those? Or a little bit of both?
I would say a little bit of both.
Okay.
I trusted you enough to be like, I don't know exactly what he's going with, but I'm on board.
We're here. So.
We're here now. But just by you saying like, hey, I want to do a podcast, sparked me to be like, I would love to have the honor of like being a platform for people to be comfortable enough to talk about their passion. That's what I love, seeing people light up, talking about what they love. And so I was like, oh, this is like my chance to bring passion and inspiration to the forefront. And I didn't know specifically like, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that,
Right.
and it's gonna happen like that, because we're kind of we're learning as we go. We're only
Definitely.
on episode 2, and we already like know a lot of things that we want to do for the future. But I guess I was excited for the prospect of it all, and just having that, like you trusting me to do it. I guess you thinking of me in the first place is super cool. But to be honest, like, I'm learning just as much as the people that are taking on the project, the people that are going to be taking on the project, because they probably have never really done a podcast before. Right. And to be able to bring my experience to it and help them through it is like, I feel like I'm needed.
Heck yeah. That was a big heck yeah. But
heck yeah.
No, for real though, like I think like even when I obviously came to you with the idea was unfinished, and like I'd still consider it unfinished because as we go on, there are going to be new things that we want to do with this project and stuff like that. But yeah, like when I first asked you, I already knew that we could work together like pretty well because we had done it in the past. But just knowing that the way that like you have been able to, I guess like have a radio career, like interview people and stuff like that, and just like your perspective on dance and like art in general is super unique and really dope, and that's kind of one of the reasons that I just really wanted to have you a part of this, because I feel like the way that you see things, I want to have like represented in this like project just as much as the way that like I see things or like Sean sees things, because I don't know, I feel like I'm just around so many great minds, and I hate feeling like there's so much potential around me that can be reached but is either not there yet or like can be, you know, helped along the way, I guess. Yeah, that's, I don't know, just kind of something that I feel like I wanted you to know, and the people to know too, because, you know what I'm saying, we out here. It's impossible to do anything by yourself.
Ooh, yeah, that's the fact.
We out here and we in here, but I think in terms of just specific questions, that's pretty much all I have. If there's anything else you would like to add or say, close it out.
I'm super excited for this and honored to be in episode 2.
Yeah.
When you first said, you know, hey, you want to be part of like the first month drop, I was like, in my head, I'm like, what? Like, create something? No. And then when I taught, I was like, this piece I could definitely take further versus having to come up with a completely new concept. Yeah.
Yay.
Thanks for
watching. Thanks for being here. Thanks for liking. Thanks for following our stuff.
Thanks for listening to us for 45 minutes or
For real.
whatever.
If you haven't seen the first podcast, check it out.
You should. It's hilarious.
Yeah, this one is gonna be a lot better. Learned a few things. Editing the last one. Didn't say like as much. You should take a shot for every time I say like in the last one. Or maybe not a shot.
You don't want to kill them.
Do like 5 push-ups or like 5 crunches. That'd be a good fitness challenge.
Hey,
We should do fitness
we're
challenges
getting
for our
everyone
podcasts.
healthy
Okay.
just by our flaws.
Don't steal our idea if you have a podcast. But yeah, I think that's it.
But what about this segment though?
Oh yeah.
Wow, my hair is caught in my jacket.
Oh.
That's not the word though. It's a long word. Okay. Birthday.
Birthday. Ooh. First thing that comes to mind when you say birthday is cake, but
This is so bad.
I'll try not to expand
not-
on that.
I thought you were saying something a little more deep.
Yeah. Like in terms of what birthdays are, or like what they mean to me, I guess. They
Just like your attitude towards it,
Yeah.
or
I know what you're trying to get at.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I used to be all about birthdays. I feel like that's how. Well, I mean, when you're growing up, obviously birthday parties are like one of the highlights of your existence. Cause like, what do you even do when you're a kid? Like, that sounds so bad. Like, I don't even remember.
how do you fill your time?
Yeah,
I don't
what
know.
did I used to do?
There's
Ride
no
my
responsibility.
bike, hang out with my friends, and like, I don't know. But yeah, like definitely as I've gotten older, birthdays have had like less significance or importance to me, just because I feel like it's hard to benchmark like your growth in terms of like just chronologically, like, all right, all the things I learned in 1 year, and then every year you like review it and like assess it, and I feel like that's not the way that my life has been going, I guess. As of late, I feel like I need to assess things a lot quicker than 1 year as I get older, just because you know, decisions that you make, and you know, there's things that have to be done and things that you got to take care of. But yeah, birthdays I think are cool just because it's nice to be, I guess, celebrated by people that appreciate you, but not super important to me anymore, just because I feel like the celebration can, like, there's no reason you can't celebrate every single day, you know what I mean, in a certain way. Not saying go party every day, but like, yeah, I think birthdays are not as important to me anymore.
They're not as big of a deal, or like, I don't know. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, it's cool to celebrate them though, for sure. Like I love celebrating birthdays, but
It's also harder to get people together.
yeah, that's a big one too,
Scheduling,
actually.
but like, just like a party is like stressful.
Yeah. Scheduling, scheduling is like something that like as you grow older, it gets really difficult, and not even just for like work.
So
Like,
you just don't even try.
yeah, like scheduling meetups with friends, I feel like sucks too, because it's like, yo, we should all hang out, and then like everyone's hype, and then like something just happens, and then everybody just stays home and goes to bed. Like,
Right. That's true.
But yeah, I'm about birthdays. I dig them. I don't have them very often. Well, who has them
You
often?
don't have them. I mean, you have them once a year.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have like parties for my birthday like I used to though, for sure. Like growing up, we used to go to the roller skating rink all the time. That was lit. Just like family gatherings, and I don't know. Like I don't even know what I did for my birthday last year. I didn't even do anything. I know I worked.
When's your birthday?
July. I worked last year. I taught a class, and I think that's all I did. So yeah.
Living big.
Birthdays, not super big for me anymore. But if you're having a birthday party, I'm definitely gonna be there. If you want to throw me a birthday party, I'm about it.
Ooh.
Yeah, coming up soon. We'll have a couple more video drops, more podcast action going on. Shout out Candy Socks, Candy
Hey!
Apparel, Candy Apparel.
These are not
excuse me.
his. Hey.
But yeah. Oh, actually, these are Candy
Hey!
Apparel socks, limited edition.
Is
We'll
that
have these are the squad
blueberry?
ones. The squad ones.
Are they like
These are customs,
authentic?
actually. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to wear these on camera, but those are customs, so you get a little sneak peek. Yeah, we'll be coming up. Dope video, dope podcast. You'll have more information on that. Stay tuned. If you haven't seen our last podcast, go check it out. If you haven't seen the last video, check it out. Share, like, comment, subscribe. Everything that everyone else on YouTube says. And I think we're good.
Yeah, follow us on SoundCloud too.
Ooh, yes, SoundCloud. That's one that not everyone on YouTube has, so that makes it special. Check it out. We good.
Yeah.
Peace. Whoa.